YouTube? This is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football. We've got another great video for you guys. Now we are going to talk about the tight end position in redraft. Man, we are in the thick of it, right? We are in August. We've got training camps going on. We've got a lot of great stuff going on. Hopefully you guys are paying attention. Obviously, if some big news with, Deshaun Watson. So there's a lot of factors that are going to play into these redraft rankings, and of course, dynasty rankings as well. Make sure you stay tuned to those. We also will be dropping our mock drafts. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for that. We'll be drafting that because I know a lot are starting to draft either this week, next week, or of course at the end of August, right before the season starts. Before we begin with the list of the top 20 tight ends in redraft rankings, I want to actually go over some exciting news. We are partnering with Phantasia Sports for this NFL fantasy season. Come join the Phantasia leagues using the link in the description down below. While you're there, create a fantasy football league on Phantasia, fill it with at least 8 people, and Phantasia will actually match your league dues up to $50. So if you guys are interested in either doing free leagues, there's obviously leagues you can join that are random and you can pay for. And of course, you can create your own leagues, and obviously they will match up to those $50 mark there. Again, make sure you guys hit the link down below. If you guys click on that, it will be greatly appreciated. Again, have fun, join it. This is something new and exciting. I'm actually excited that we got to be partnered with them. I've joined a few leagues already, and it looks great. The app is great and really, really amazing stuff. So now we're going to jump into the tight end position. Now we're going to work our way backwards like we always do. This is number 20 down to 11. Now, number 20, I've got Irv Smith Jr., who I love actually a lot. He's definitely higher in my dynasty rankings, but in redraft right now, until I see more, I can't quite move him up quite there. Because obviously you still have got players like Justin Jefferson, Thielen, and Osborne taking a lot of those receptions. You got Dalvin Cook, you got Madison. So Irv Smith does have a lot to fight against as far as the target share goes. But Kirk Cousins does like his tight ends. He loved, obviously, when Kyle Rudolph was there. And Irv Smith has the talent to really turn into a top 15, top 10 tight end. But right now I have him at number 20. Number 19, I've got Hunter Henry. Obviously, last year was a touchdown machine, which obviously helped him in last year's. I do take away a few of those touchdowns. I don't think he's going to be as relevant in the red zone area like he was. So I do have him lower in this just because there were a lot of wide receivers added to this roster that I think will obviously affect it. And of course, they still have Jonnu Smith for New England. So again, Hunter Henry, I do have a little bit lower. Number 18, I've got David Njoku. If Deshaun Watson was not suspended, which we all knew was coming anyways, and we can obviously debate how that went, Njoku would have been higher in this ranking. I thought this was like his season. They signed him to a really good contract. He doesn't have as many weapons to fight against as far as getting that target share. And I just felt like Deshaun would have really helped elevate that whole offense in general. But with that said, in redraft, I have Njoku a lot lower in that. Number 17, I've got Albert. Look, Albert, this is what's tough to say. Just because Russell Wilson was never really a tight end type of quarterback, he never really threw to the tight end as often as maybe some quarterbacks. And the offense, a lot has to do with that. That was Pete Carroll's offense. This is a different offensive scheme. We'll see how things play out. But you've got 2 great bookends with Jerry Jeudy and obviously Cortland Sutton. Then you've got obviously 2 great backs behind you in Javonte and Melvin Gordon. And that might obviously change some things. So I don't really have Albert quite as high as maybe some others. Number 16, I got Cole Kmet, who I really love. And he's going to get a lot of targets this season, especially with the fact that Chicago just chose not to really add a lot of weapons for Justin Fields. So you've really got Mooney, Cole Kmet, which is probably your 2 biggest ones. Then obviously you've got Montgomery in the backfield. So Cole Kmet's going to see a lot of target share. I can see him in the 20-25% range, and obviously getting a lot of receptions and of course red zone. Number 15, Dawson Knox. I don't have as high as other teams or other rankings out there, just because again, Josh Allen can steal some touchdowns in the red zone. You got now an addition in James Cook, who's going to get some receptions. I like Gabriel Davis a lot this season, whether it be dynasty or redraft. And a lot of Dawson Knox's scoring was based off his touchdowns. A lot of his points were just from the red zone action. And that is always something you can't always 100% count on. So for me, I have Knox a little bit lower. Number 14, I got Tyler Higbee. I like Higbee a lot. Matthew Stafford likes Higbee a lot. And then again, as far as weapon share goes, he doesn't have as many targets to fight for like he did last season, and he still did a really good job last season. So I do have Tyler Higbee pretty high. Number 13 is probably one of my biggest sleepers as far as tight end goes, and I've been taking him in most of my dynasty leagues and a few of my redrafts, but I like Evan Engram a lot. again, Doug Peterson is a pass-heavy offensive scheming coach, and I do see this happening a lot. Look at Dallas Goedert, when obviously he played for Doug Peterson in Philadelphia. Evan Engram has that capability and talent. Now, obviously, injury is the biggest concern with him, and obviously those occasional drops that happen that can kind of get him out of the game, but I like Evan Engram a lot. I think he's going to be my biggest sleeper who can really crack the top 10, but I have him at number 13 right now. Number 12, I got Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan is dealing with obviously a big injury. We'll see where he is right now. He's on the injury, pup list right now for the offseason in training camp. So we're not really sure how that report is going to go. But if anything's going to happen, the fact that Aaron Rodgers really trusts Tonyan probably more than he does, say, Christian Watson, right? I think he does trust Allen, but Lazard's probably the only other threat. And of course, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. So Robert Tonyan is going to get an increased target share this season. And that may change obviously going forward, but this season I think he's going to be really high up there. Number 11, I got Mike Gesicki. And with the recent news, I actually thought about lowering him down, but I don't know if that's just something that they may change. But a lot of the news has come out of training camp is that he's going to be used for blocking more, which I could see. I mean, he's a pretty decent blocker. He is obviously a good route runner, and he's really going to be the guy who's going to fill the middle, especially since the fact that you got obviously Tyreek Hill and Waddle who are going to stretch the field. But they added obviously Cedric Wilson, who's going to be really the slot guy, who's going to get a lot of those seam passes, some of those hooks, some in routes. That does affect Gesicki a lot. And the fact that, again, they mentioned him being a blocker, I may end up lowering him down in the rankings, but right now I have at number 11, right outside the top 10. Number 10, I got Dallas Goedert, and obviously being, obviously new head coaches and new offensive scheme. I still like Goedert as far as someone who's going to get a lot of receptions. And I think with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith being out there, I actually think it helps Dallas Goedert. They do run a lot in that offense, so the target share is going to be a little thin compared to maybe some other heavy passing teams. But I like Dallas Goedert a lot. He is going to be their red zone threat with obviously A.J. Brown as well. But Ertz does worry me a little bit with the running. He does tend to, rush a little bit more than he should. Hopefully this season he does tend to sit in the pocket a little bit more just to give these guys a chance. Number 9, I got Pat Freiermuth. I love Freiermuth a lot. He could easily crack into the top 5. He just has that type of talent and capability. Good blocker, good receiver. He's got great hands, red zone threat. And who knows, a lot of times when you're dealing with players like a Trubisky or maybe a possible rookie in Kenny Pickett, they might use the tight end as a blanket to kind of feel comfortable and kind of get themselves in a rhythm. So he might see 6 to 7 targets his way. And then, of course, the rest of the receivers are there. So it does help. I think he's going to be one of those guys that are going to get the red zone action. I think he's going to get a lot of that, hey, let's get in a rhythm type of catches. So I like Pat Freiermuth a lot, number 9. Number 8, I still have Zach Ertz pretty high. I like what he did last season. When he came into, obviously, the Arizona after being traded from Philly, I actually picked him up in a few of my redraft leagues because a lot of people obviously were down on him. I felt that was going to actually be a rejuvenation for him, and it really did. It rejuvenated him a lot last season, and I think that's going to continue with obviously DeAndre Hopkins being out the first 6 games. So really it's Ertz, obviously Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore, and then of course James Conner in the red zone. So I like Zach Ertz a lot, getting a lot of that red zone action, and of course getting those receptions. Number 7, I've got Darren Waller. Look, Darren Waller is Darren Waller. The reason why I don't have him any higher, and you're probably going to kill me in the comments, and that's okay, but Darren Waller, for me, with the add down of Devontae Adams, does add a little bit of competition. Hunter Renfrow really showed up and balled out last season, which only helps, obviously, himself, but does take away some things from Darren Waller. Now, Darren Waller will still be a top tight end. He is still one of those top tier tight ends, but when I talk about the rest of these guys, you'll understand why I have at number 7. So number 6, I got TJ Hockenson, and Hockenson was one of those guys that he did finish 15th last season in tight end, but he was hurt a lot. And there was a lot of inconsistency, new offense, and I think they're going to use a lot more. I love the receiving core that they've got in Detroit. I love what they've gotten to DeAndre Swift as long as he stays healthy. And that just opens up the middle of the field for Hockenson to really take over. And he will be the guy as far as the red zone action goes. And I just love what TJ Hockenson has. I really have him high in Dynasty as well. He's one of those guys that aren't targeted heavily. I'm seeing him dropping in some ADP, which is kind of interesting, but I like Hockenson a lot. Number 5, got Kyle Pitts. He could probably easily be number 1. Just because obviously we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback. Obviously Mariota was announced to be the week 1 starter, but that could possibly change throughout the season. And the fact is you got Drake London, who's a rookie, where obviously Kyle Pitts was last year. And that's really your weapons. I mean, Brian Edwards is there, and I think that's a great addition from Las Vegas, but Pitts is going to get the ball, and he's going to get a lot of action. He is going to get more touchdowns than he did last season, which is going to help him obviously raise his game. But the fact you got tight ends like Mark Andrews at number 4, who obviously will be heavily targeted, especially with Hollywood Brown being gone. They're going to rely on obviously Rashad Bateman. They are going to run the ball a lot. So don't get me wrong. Obviously Baltimore will run the ball, and they're going to take the opportunity to run, whether it be Lamar, Gus, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, whoever they need to. But Mark Andrews will be that blanket. He will be that red zone target, and he will take a lot of the shares that Hollywood Brown was receiving and start to sprinkle in his way. So I like Mark Andrews higher than Kyle Pitts. Number 3, I got Dalton Schultz. A lot of this had to do with the fact that Dalton Schultz was really balling out. He is now playing on a contract year again, so he's got a lot to prove, obviously not just to Dallas, but also to the rest of the league, that he is a top 10, top 5 tight end in this league. And there's unfortunately a lot of injuries in Dallas with the wide receiver position. You went from a team last year was one of the top wide receiver teams in Gallup and Cooper and Lamb, and it was just so on and so off. But then now you got really Lamb. Gallup is going to miss at least the first 2 weeks. Tolbert looks really good. I like what they did in that draft. Cooper's gone, went to Cleveland. This is not the same receiving core that Dak had last year. So Dalton Schultz will be a top 5 tight end just because of the numbers. He's going to get a lot of action, and that is only going to help him. Number 2, I got George Kittle. Again, Trey Lance is the quarterback. They've announced it. They made it very clear. Jimmy G will not be the quarterback this season. So Trey Lance, being an athletic guy, will help, I think, open up George Kittle a lot. The fact that Kittle is going to be able to make some breaking routes. He's going to be able to run with the quarterback as far as following him outside the pocket. And again, weapon-wise, you've got a great receiver in Deebo Samuel. You got a good receiver in Ayuk, right? Those guys are going to get some attention. George Kittle obviously is going to get probably the lesser of, right? The safety covering, the linebacker, maybe occasionally the slot. I just see George Kittle being that guy, and that rapport, I think, is already starting to develop with Trey Lance. And then, of course, number 1, Travis Kelce. In redraft, Travis Kelce is the guy. I think, obviously, in Dynasty, I think Kyle Pitts kind of becomes that, but right now, Kelce is going to be the guy. Patrick Mahomes, this is going to be his blanket. This is going to be his favorite target. He's not going to be fighting like he did with Tyreek Hill trying to get receptions, even though he still was a better receiver as far as, the red zone action and the consistency. But Travis Kelce is the guy. There's no reason another tight end should be picked above him unless possibly Dynasty. So again, this is redraft in these rankings. So there's my redraft for the top 1 through 20 tight end rankings. Again, thank you guys so much for enjoying the video and watching this. If you guys have not already, check out our running back, wide receiver, and quarterback redraft. And if you guys do enjoy Dynasty, check out our Dynasty rankings as well to help you guys out in case you guys are doing some startups or maybe you're doing a rookie draft. Whatever the case may be, make sure you guys check out those videos. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time I drop a video just like this. And of course, hit the like button is greatly appreciated. And if you guys have not already, make sure you click that Phantasia Sports link down below in the description. It is going to be some fun stuff for you guys for the season. Join as many leagues as you can. Enjoy it. It's awesome. And I'll check you guys out next time.